again, will be important, but let's take a look at the keys first for the Crimson. Offensively, they want to make sure that they keep that dangerous New Hampshire offense off the field.
And it stays on that same token of the third down offense, staying on the field, converting on third downs, and defensively, a couple of times last week where Brown had long touchdown plays for this Harvard defense, eliminate the chunk plays, especially against this UNH offense that can fling it.
Meanwhile, for the University of New Hampshire, take a look at some of the keys for them to try and get to 4-1 on the season. The Wildcats, led by head coach Rick Santos, they want to get a little bit better when it comes to their ground game.
We know what they can do in the air, but that's one of the Harvard strengths defensively is the secondary. So they want to be able to run the ball effectively, keep Harvard off balance defensively. And defensively, they said watching Harvard on tape through 2 games, it looked completely different one game over the other. They couldn't pick up on the tendencies.
UNH won the toss, elected to defer, and they will kick off to start off this non-conference matchup. And Exavea Bascon receives the bouncing kick out across the 25, and Harvard will take it over at the 28-yard line with its offense, led by the junior quarterback from Montclair, New Jersey, Jaden Craig, who took over as the starter late last season, part of a Harvard squad that was a trio of teams that finished atop the Ivy League. Craig is a dual-threat quarterback and a load to tackle at about 230 pounds.
And that's the thing that this UNH defense needs to watch out for. We know what they can do off the edge with both these DNs and Josiah Silver and Flex Ruiz, but you want to try and contain Jaden Craig. Keep him in the pocket. Sometimes early penetration isn't good for the defense.
You see Exavea Bascon, the Nahant, Massachusetts native, the sophomore, in the backfield with Craig, and he's the target on Craig's first pass, makes the first man miss, and gets out across the 30-yard line. So positive pickup that didn't look like it was going anywhere, but for Bascon, he gets the start because the captain, Shane McLaughlin, out with an injury. They expect him to return next week.
Yeah, this is a Harvard offense looking for a little bit more out of the backfield, so it's going to be a big role tonight for Bascon, and a good job to just keep fighting after contact, get those extra yards, a little positive play to get this drive started.
Craig completing just over 55% of his passes this season. As he's back to pass on second down, pressure coming, flushed out. Craig races toward the marker, and he'll be just shy. He is about a yard shy of the first down line, so it's third and short, which is what Harvard wants against a UNH team that over the last few years has been outstanding on third down with their defense.
Yeah, third down's obviously highlighted because it's the down that gets you off the field. There you see Craig escaping out of the pocket, Josiah Silver right behind him. But for Jaden Craig against this defense, that internal clock gets just a little bit shorter. He knows he's going to feel a lot of pressure here tonight.
Change at quarterback right now. It's Charles DePrima, the running quarterback in there, and he'll hand it off. Harvard gets the first down with Bascon out across to the 41-yard line, a pickup of 4 on 3rd and 1. So Harvard goes to the ground for the first time. This is something that we've seen the first 2 weeks. DePrima and Craig sometimes on the field at the same time.
Oh, Mickey Fine said it. When you look offensively, who's our best 11? And Jaden Craig and Charles DePrima are both in that best 11 for the Crimson. Some gadget plays to get DePrima involved. Had a huge pass play last weekend.
Crimson pick up a first down as they inch toward midfield. It's Bascon again. He goes nowhere. Dragged down in the backfield. It is Josiah Silver, one of 4 captains on UNH, the Hampton, Virginia native, an All-American a couple of years ago, and as a freshman, he gets through that Harvard offensive line.
Well, we've seen a lot more for this Harvard team. A little bit more 11 personnel, just the one tight end. We'll see if those DNs continue to be a factor, if Mickey Fine will get a little bit bigger up front, putting 6 down on the line of scrimmage with an extra tight end.
So it's a loss of a yard, 2nd and 11 for the Harvard offense. This time, Craig will keep it, rolls past Silver, throws, and it's incomplete off the hands of Caden Oderman. Pass might have been a little bit out in front of him, but sets up for a 3rd and long.
Yeah, they had him too, streaking over the middle, a little crossing route there from Oderman. He's a guy, this offense, they want to see him get going, one of the top receivers. And let's face it, for him, 1 reception over 2 weeks is not enough. And say if it gets you in the hand, you should at least be able to bring it in. But yeah, just a little bit in front of the senior.
So Bascon in the backfield with Craig, and 3 receivers off to the right with a tight end, Seamus Gilmartin, on the left side of the line. Play clock down to 3. Craig gets the snap off just in time, throws right side for Scott Woods, and it's incomplete. Overthrew him. Coverage by Brendan Ty, the free safety from Lowell, Massachusetts. And after giving up a first down, UNH defense gets off the field by forcing Harvard into the 3rd and long, and now a punt.
Yeah, and Craig ends up on his backside after he threw it. The Crimson got the look they wanted with UNH playing in this nickel, and they had over on the field and make that the boundary side Noah Stansbury. So they got the one-on-one matchups they wanted over to the field, but just thrown ahead there is Scott Woods.
Sebastian Tasco, who leads the Ivy League in punting average, is back to punt it. This is Caleb Burke back to receive, and they have a flag down after Tasco was hit, and let's take a look and see what this penalty is. As it stands right now, UNH will take over just shy of the 20-yard line, but we'll wait on the call from Alex Perella.
A big difference here, roughing or running into.
I imagine if they're discussing it with Harvard, it's going to be not roughing.
Yeah, and see if they want to repunt this or just take it from where it was.
Running the kicker, 0. Safety team. That penalty's declined. First down.
So penalty against Flex Ruiz. And UNH will take over at the 18-yard line with its offense led by the graduate student, the senior Seth Morgan from Pittsburgh. This is his 6th year of college football. Morgan, his 2 previous stops, he started off his college career at the Virginia Military Institute, then went to Division II Shepherd, now back in Division I, and he has been outstanding leading this UNH Wildcat offense.
Yeah, storied career. He was the SoCon Freshman of the Year in his time at VMI, and then Division II at Shepherd, same place as Tyson Bajan.
They come out throwing. It's completed. Logan Tomlinson escapes 1 tackle and is dragged down by Harvard and A.J. Lopez. And so for Seth Morgan, he has really been the trigger man, guy who is so competitive, and they love how quickly the ball is getting out of his hands, the smooth motion, and he's got the numbers to back up those real big compliments that were thrown by both coaching staffs in his direction.
The big thing is the touchdown interception split at 12-3. Those 3 interceptions came in the first 2 weeks, 2 against UCF. Last 2 weeks, 10 touchdowns, no interceptions, taking care of the ball.
Joey Corcoran in motion. The ball goes into the belly of Isaac Seed, who has the first down and explodes out to the 33. Seed, a 5'9", 206-pound senior from Everett, Massachusetts, went to both Everett High School and Melrose High School. He was somebody who Harvard's coaching staff was very concerned with his ability to break tackles and rip off big plays.
He is a wrecking ball at 5'9", 206, low center of gravity, and his coach Rick Santos said pound for pound the strongest player in UNH history. You wrap him up, you have to get him down.
On first down, it's a tight window, but completed to Logan Tomlinson. He goes down after a gain out to the 39-yard line. Pickup of 6 yards as Damian Henderson was uncovered. Jan Seed that squats 600 pounds. Just so strong, and that was one thing that Scott Larkey, the Harvard defensive coordinator, said, we need to wrap up. We need to make sure that we bring him to the ground. He's currently set up in the pistol right behind the quarterback, Morgan. He gets it. Seed bounces out to the outside. He's got another New Hampshire first down to the 45-yard line. And so Isaac Seed, who's coming into this game averaging 6 yards a rush, just under 300 yards in 3 games. You think of New Hampshire, you think of the high-flying passing offense since Rick Santos back in his playing days and now his coaching days, but it's that ground game that could really open things up for a Harvard team that has some good coverage players.
Yeah, and Isaac Seed as well, a guy who didn't start the year as the number 1 back, the lead back. That was Miles Thomason, who was injured the first game of the year, but Seed really coming into form, a senior approaching 1,000 career rushing yards, and already we've seen being able to run outside the tackles.
It's Tomlinson again into Harvard territory. And another big pickup on first down. UNH methodically moving it down the field. Rick Santos said this is what we have to do against Harvard. They don't give up a lot of big plays. We have to take those underneath throws when they're there.
I go an empty 5 wide here, but they just switched Tomlinson on that last play over to this near side.
It's a screen, and absolutely squashed is Seed by Mitchell Gonzer. That fooled nobody on Harvard.
Well, they get tripped to the right here, wanting to set up blockers, and it's a missed assignment. You see right after the hit, you have Drew Danson and Logan Tomlinson looking at each other, saying, whose guy was that? He just bounces right off Tomlinson, and that is a wreck right there from Gonzer all over the screen pass.
Gonzer had an interception return for a touchdown in Harvard's first game of the season against Stetson. He has been their leading tackler, and that sets up a 3rd and 7 for the UNH offense. They have not been as good on 3rd down as they would like offensively this season. Morgan whips it left side, wide open. Caleb Burke, the defender, fell, and it's a 1st down for the Wildcats.
A good out route here, ball on the money. You said it, defender falls. Makes this an easy play in the end for Caleb Burke. He's more the hitcher over the top type of guy in this offense. Tomlinson, we've seen already getting a lot of targets, but Burke, watch out for him down the field. 13 catches this year, 308 yards. He can go deep.
Austin Jake Guillory, who is in coverage. Harvard is a little bit shorthanded with its defensive backfield. No Gavin Shipman, a starting cornerback because of an injury. He is someone they hope to get back next week against Cornell. On 1st and 10, Morgan dumps it off. It's caught by the big tight end, Colby Ramshaw, and he'll rumble down to the 37-yard line. Short pickup, but on a play where Morgan looked like he was off and running for his life, kept his head.
This is one of the impressive things when you watch Seth Morgan. His ability on the move, out of the pocket, extending plays, his ability to throw with his momentum, more importantly, running to his left, throwing against his body. He has been precise.
This has been an excellent opening drive here for UNH. Nothing big, but all the right plays at the right times. 2nd and 6 for the Wildcats. It's Logan Perez in motion. They throw his way, swing it out to the left side. Well blocked. He breaks a tackle and has a 1st down. Logan Perez, a freshman from Sewell, New Jersey. That's just his 3rd reception of the season.
Now, Logan Perez was the motion man in this man coverage. Late getting over to deal with it was Miles Wiley, and it was good blocking on that side of the field, 2-on-2.
Harvard defensively, 7th in the FCS in scoring defense and 4th in total defense. So although the Harvard Crimson have only played 2 games prior to this, they've had good defensive performances, notably in the opener against Stetson.
The shutout will definitely help those numbers.
Morgan facing pressure, throws it for the end zone, incomplete, but a flag. Tight coverage by Lopez, looking in the direction of Tomlinson, the captain. See if this is a pass interference on the Crimson.
Pass interference. Defense, 27. 15-yard penalty on that 1st down.
That's a tough one for Harvard. It'll have the field that UNH has to go. So you get the look here. Didn't quite see it. Might have been a little tug. Let's take a look.
Yeah, it's going to be lower bottom of your screen, but it was just a nice route. Little stutter to the outside, and then once he got Lopez to bite, cut up the field. It's going to be right in this area around the 20 where he stuttered to the outside.
Morgan lofts right side. Walk-in touchdown. Wildcats with a perfect opening drive. Caleb Burke on the connection. 6-0 UNH.
Already 5 touchdowns for Caleb Burke, and that was a methodical drive and a good balance as well. And a good job by Seth Morgan spreading the ball around. How about that for an opening drive? 8 for 8 on the money, and Caleb Burke, 5 touchdowns, has a couple of multi-touchdown games this year, and a perfect start for the Wildcats.
Point after is good from Nick Mazie and UNH, the 7-0 lead. Great start for the Wildcats.
He is just having a blast, guys.
He was a great quarterback at Bellingham High School. In addition to his time at the University of New Hampshire, he broke the Massachusetts State touchdown passing record and won a couple of Super Bowls at Bellingham High. And
Dylan,
he's got to be happy with the way his team is started.
And he's got to love what he's seen out of Seth Morgan, being a quarterback himself, going 8 for 8, 52, spreading the ball around. And Rick Santos, over 14,000 yards, holds career and single-season records for UNH.
Bascon will run it out just from the goal line, and he's tumbled down shy of the 30. Boy, that looked like it was going to be a hole that would open up for a longer return than that. The Harvard team will take the field trailing for just the second time this season. The only other time they trailed, the final 21 seconds of last week's 3-point loss at Brown.
Yeah, that was a game that Harvard was in command. Jumped out 14-0, 21-3. But we said it earlier, it's an important lesson to learn. You'd like to learn that lesson in non-conference play instead of getting off to an 0-1 start in the Ivy League. But Harvard saw what happens, especially in the H&A. You let teams hang around. You don't put them away. What can happen?
Harvard picked up a first down before stalling out on their last drive. Bascon trying to force his way up through a hole that's not there. Gets to the 32 for a pickup of 3 yards. For UNH, the defense, we talked about at the top of the broadcast a little bit, they are much improved from where they were a year ago when they really had a hard time defensively. They were 13th in the CAA in terms of total defense, rush defense. They had a tough time stopping the run. This year they've been better. Now, they were really hurt by UCF in the first game of the season, but they scheduled that UCF game before UCF became a member of the Big 12, before transfer portal became such a huge part of the game. As here's a run by Malik Frederick out to the 35-yard line, and they've been better, but Harvard feels like there's some opportunities to run against this UNH defense.
Yeah, that's the area you're really pointing at, is the run game, because they've been gashed in a couple games this year, even outside the UCF game, allowing almost 200 rushing yards per game. And you really want to look at Neapolitano, Cameron Garner-Young, the 2 defensive tackles, trying to clog up running lanes.
Looks like another important third down, even though early in the contest. 3rd and 5, and Harvard looking for a bit of momentum. And get a timeout taken by Harvard with the play clock starting to wind down.
Charge, timeout and a half. Harvard, it'll be 30 seconds.
So the Crimson take a time, especially considering it was the first home game under a new head coach in Andy Orrick, and he has such close connections with James Perry, the head coach for the Bears. And obviously to be in control in that game, have leads of 21-3, 28-10. Tough way for it to end, but Andy Orrick said you got to move on pretty quickly as Jaden Craig goes down. He was tripped up initially by Jordan McAllister, the defensive end from South Orange, New Jersey. And it is a loss back to the 46-yard line. It'll set up a 2nd down and 13.
And that is what UNH is looking for defensively. Obviously, they have plenty of talent along this defensive line, but keep Craig contained, give him nowhere to go, and eventually be there to bottle him up. And Rick Santos said last year at points, it just felt like his team was stat chasing a little bit, not staying gap and assignment conscious. This year, that's been one of the bigger differences.
2nd down, Bascon with Craig in the backfield. 3 wide receivers to the right. Craig, time in the pocket, going for the long shot, but over the head of his intended target, Cooper Barkate. Throw a step or two too far from his roommate, who you mentioned. 2 of them connected on a pass. It was Barkate to Craig to win the Ivy League championship last year in a triple overtime game against Penn.
Yeah, Jackson Downey was there in coverage, the safety high up the field on the streak route. But going back to that Brown game, I think one of the big adjustments for this Harvard team offensively is looking at the tape and saying, where did things go cold in the second half? Because they were moving the ball at will in the first and then really slowed things down. And you see tight one-on-one coverage, bottom of your screen.
No down lineman either for UNH as this is knocked down, nearly intercepted on the outside. It was Caleb Mead in coverage, the senior from Pennsylvania. He had one-on-one coverage with Cooper Barkate, but really inventive defensive formation there from defensive coordinator Garrett Gillick. Had the roaming defensive line there. Harvard, that's a look that they haven't seen this season.
No, it is not, and always finding ways to keep a team off balance. And how about this UNH secondary? You just look all across the two deep. Senior, just so much experience on this defense.
Burke from the 16. Out to the 26, 10-yard. What he and his fellow offensive coaches do on the Sundays and Mondays after game, they get in the lab and they come up with all sorts of different ways they can attack the next team.
Well, right now they're loving this bubble screen to the outside. Get the 2-on-2 blockers right here and then just speed to the boundary. Had against Eric Little, so you'll take the speed of Burke up against a linebacker all day.
Seed breaks an initial tackle before he's brought down by Harvard's linebacking core. Ends up going for no gain. First man to hit him was Marcus Alexander, Las Vegas native, senior, first year as a starter in the middle of that Harvard defense. Somebody that, in terms of coaches, said that hey, a lot is expected now that he's worked his way up into this role. We need him to be a big factor for our defense.
He's really factored in as well. He's been all over, and you see right now just with the threat that UNH has in the air with Harvard going 3 down linemen, little 3-3-5 in this nickel defense.
Third down, New Hampshire converted on its only third down attempt on the first drive. To the outside, it's Seed, tries to stay in bounds. Did he? No, he didn't. Couldn't walk the tightrope, and he'll be a yard shy of where he needs to get. UNH signaling that they're going to go for it on 4th and 1 here.
We'll take another look. Can he tightrope? No. Good call by the official there. Full left foot out.
They fake the handoff, throw to the outside, complete to Corcoran for a first down, and he's ridden down out to the 49-yard line. A pickup of 14 on 4th and 1. And the aggressive New Hampshire offense, they're not worried about being backed up inside their own 40.
A really simple design here in the play action run. Everyone on Harvard thinks you're running the ball on 4th and short. Safeties pinch in. You get the one-on-one you're looking for. And just Joey Corcoran press and pause in front of A.J. Lopez.
Hard to believe he's just a junior after he really burst onto the scene as a freshman, caught 56 passes. Morgan to the outside. It's complete again, looking like pitch and catch between him and Logan Tomlinson. It's a pickup of 9 on first down, and no big plays that Harvard's allowed, but they are getting gashed with efficiency.
It's almost the fear, it looks like, that Harvard has of being hit over the top. They're playing the soft zone coverage on the outside, and these 5 to 7 yard receptions are going to be there all night.
And so far, Seth Morgan is doing exactly what Rick Santos wanted him to do as far as the game plan. Just take the underneath stuff, take the intermediate, and keep advancing the ball down the field.
And right now he's doing his best Jared Goff impression, 100% right now on completions.
12 of 12. Seed trying to get 1 yard for the first down. He will be just shy. Looked like he only picked up maybe half a yard here. See if that takes us to the end of the quarter, or if UNH elects to get another play off. I'd imagine they will, based on how these offenses are going no huddle. And in fact, they will have to snap the ball. The play clock just a little bit underneath where the game clock is.
And watch Seed here out of the backfield. You're going to have the one-on-one far side Logan Perez. Just watch with 5 tight to the line of scrimmage here.
And I think that now they're going to reset it. You saw Morgan was pointing toward the play clock, and they will not get a play off before the end of the quarter. So UNH has only been stopped by the clock at this point offensively. Making their way down. That was a 3rd and less than 1, and UNH picks it up easily. Right now, Harvard's got to find a way to put together some resistance to a UNH squad that looks very well rested and recharged after the bye week. Morgan to the outside. He remains perfect as Joey Corcoran makes the grab. That's the 13th consecutive completion to start the game for Seth Morgan, who was an honorable mention All-American at Division II Shepherd University. That's the same college as Tyson Bagent, the backup quarterback for the Chicago Bears. And his teammates have said that, hey, this is a guy in Seth Morgan who belongs at Division I. He is back at the level where he is supposed to be, and they love everything that he has done for this UNH offense, which had a big hole to fill at quarterback after last season, losing Max Brosmer, currently the quarterback for the University of Minnesota. 2nd and 7, it's Corcoran again. And Harvard has to gang tackle him, bringing him down just shy of the first down. It'll be 3rd and another short yards to gain.
Well, he immediately got the respect of his teammates. He was beside himself after the UCF game with the way he played, the 2 interceptions that he threw. He's really cleaned it up, and you could tell already through 5 games he has such an understanding of this offense. Everything is on time.
Nothing this time, though, for Seed. The initial hit was made by the Crimson's Mitch Gonzer. And Seed goes backwards for a loss of 3, UNH. Well, they went for it on 4th and 1 from inside their own territory. Now let's see if they attempt a long field goal.
Yeah, and this is for Nick Mazie right where Rick Santos said his range was around. Maybe just a little bit outside of it. He said he can hit from around 50 yards, but here at Harvard Stadium's a different story.
This is 52. The winds are often swirling here at Harvard Stadium. Snap good, hold good, and the kick is good. Just cleared the crossbar. First ever 50-plus yard kick in the career of Nick Mazie, the Boxford, Massachusetts native. Gives UNH a 10-0 lead.
Just whiskers enough. The career best before that was 47. Got that confidently, and was kind of surprised at first. Go for a 50-plus yard field goal. The way that this offense has been moving, you think one of those quick hitter pass plays keeps the drive alive, but Rick Santos puts the trust in Nick Mazie, and he delivers with a new career high.
Might have been good from 54, but probably not much further than that.
Just enough leg and one gust of wind. They could have held it up. But you see the flag. You just pointed out the Ivy flag. The top of the stadium is pointing in that direction. So Nick Mazie kicking with the wind, and it gave him just enough, that extra yard he needed.
The thing about Harvard Stadium and the wind, though, is that it's even when the flags are going in one direction, up at the top of the stadium, inside the stadium, they are often swirling, sometimes in different directions. So Mazie riding high off of the 52-yard field goal, and the ball falls off the tee on cue. The wind disrupting the ball before Mazie can make contact.
That flag was thrown by the umpire, but ball just fell off the tee.
There is no foul on the play. Ball fell off the tee. We'll re-kick.
Yeah, it's not like it was a shanked onside kick that didn't go 10 yards. It just fell off the tee.
And unlike the NFL, you don't have to declare when you're onside kicking. Obviously, the kickoffs these days in college look a lot different than they do on Sundays. Mazie went to Central Catholic High School up in the Merrimack Valley. As a senior, the Central Catholic football team went 7-0, and this will get to the end zone on a bounce, and Harvard will take over after the touchback. So what needs to change here for the Harvard offense to get a little bit of traction here? Because the UNH defense has played extremely well here to start off this contest.
I think try and highlight things. Try and highlight things for Cooper Barcade quicker.
12:41.
Just get Barcade the ball in space. You see they break this first huddle with Charles DePrima in the set as well. I just think about these quick hitters because right now plays are not being able to develop long with the type of penetration that UNH is getting defensively. I think just try and get the ball in and out of Jaden Craig's hands.
Malik Frederick in the backfield with Craig, and this is DePrima in motion. He'll get it on the handoff, trying to find the corner. He does, and is wrapped up after a 9-yard pickup. They'll actually give him the extra yard for a first down. DePrima might be the fastest guy in the Ivy League, probably the fastest player on the Crimson. Starting quarterback last year for most of the season, and they have found a way to keep him involved in the offense, even though he's not behind center most of the time.
He's a 4-5 type guy, and there you go. That's a good start for Harvard offensively. Quick play, little jet sweep motion to Charles DePrima. Craig
nearly slipped. He's going to go deep. He's got a wide open Scott Woods. He makes the grab. Woods is gone. 65-yard strike. Craig to Woods. And Harvard's on the board.
Well, you asked what Harvard needed to change. A two-play drive, the touchdowns, those big explosive plays that they've become so accustomed to offensively. And this is Jaden Craig selling this with his eyes. The two fakes he makes to either side of the field, and they get the secondary for UNH to bite. That was Brendan Ty who took the bait, and Scott Woods, another long touchdown reception. He had one in the season opener and exactly what the Crimson needed.
Winchester native Kieran Core with the point after. A flag on the play. Kick good. We will wait on the marker. An offsides against UNH will be the call here. Let's wait and hear from referee Alex Perella. So Harvard gets on the scoreboard. 10-7 Wildcats after the quick Crimson response. Craig shows off the arm. Harvard talked about getting explosive plays during the week, and they got one to the senior from Lorton, Virginia. They don't mind, and the UNH fans don't mind.
Yeah, for Rick Santos, UNH legend, how do you get two main guys as your coordinators? But it is working for him.
After the long touchdown pass, the kickoff, and this will be returned by Caleb Mead out across the 25-yard line, and that is where UNH and Seth Morgan will take over.
But there's so much familiarity with both these coaching staff, just geographically being at the same events. Obviously, you go back to the playing days for a few of them at Maine, but just feels like this is a series that needs to start building some history again. Like we said, we can't wait 80-plus years after the one in 2026, because these are two perennial programs, two storied programs. You know, Rick Santos has a ton of respect for the Ivy League as well, coaching at Columbia, and he says top Ivy League teams, although they don't compete in the playoff, they are national championship good.
First play of the drive is going to be a pass from Seth Morgan. He's going to go deep, and he's got a man open. It's Burke. Down the sideline, makes one man miss, and goes down inside the 30 before losing his helmet. Caleb Burke, who caught the touchdown. They finally unlock a big play against the Harvard D.
Well, two Harvard secondary players run into each other, and look at this. Just all day to pass for Seth Morgan. He could sit in there as long as he wants, wait for the play to develop, and it's two crossing routes over the middle of the field. And right there, the collision wide open. That was who was supposed to be covering Caleb Burke, and a lot of completions today for Morgan. That one was the easiest.
Morgan, 15 of 15 for 142 yards and a touchdown. He's got three receivers off to his right in the pistol. And he gives it up to Seed. Gets out of one tackle to the outside. And finally, Ty Bartram brings him down by the ankles, but not before another long run by Isaac Seed. The Everett native, he is running hard here close to his hometown.
Harvard had penetration right away in the backfield, and that's what this coaching staff was talking about. When you have Isaac Seed stacked up, you need to bring him down. Just his ability to shed blockers is, there you see, was Gonza right away in the backfield. Seed wasn't even phased.
This is a great response for UNH after giving up the long touchdown. They fake the handoff. Morgan dumps it off to his tight end, Drew Danson, and he'll dance out of a tackle and pick up the first down to the 15-yard line.
Yeah, just a little bit of confusion right now with the Harvard linebackers as this play developed, as you had Seed breaking out with the tight end Danson, the left side of your screen.
There's so many moving parts, it feels like, to everything that UNH does. And it's not just for show. There's a lot of intent behind it, and it's a big reason why there hasn't been much of a drop-off despite losing not only the great quarterback Max Brosmer, but how about an NFL running back in Dylan Laube?
Yeah, Laube is already becoming a fan favorite with the Raiders, activated from the practice squad, but two All-Americans.
Morgan in trouble, and he's dragged down, gets close to the line of scrimmage, but he is brought down by Alex DeGreek, Michigan native, 2nd and 11. Harvard, by the way, earlier this week had one of its alums activated on an NFL roster. Aaron Shamklin, the former Crimson running back, was brought up to the 53-man roster by the Pittsburgh Steelers. So both of these programs, Rick Santos talked about it. He said that Harvard's got to be in the top 5% of FCS programs producing NFL talent. And the Wildcats, of course, have been known to send a player or two to the NFL, too.
And two programs as well that just have tremendous buy-in with both.
To the outside, Corcoran nabs it and is driven backward. Tackle made by Austin Jake Guillory. It sets up for a 3rd and medium as UNH drives to the 11.
Well, these wide receivers have to love playing with Seth Morgan. Every time out of the breaks, right when they cut with their routes, the ball is there delivered. Quick little out, as you see, broken off right in front, and those kind of underneath throws have been there all day.
UNH 2 for 4 on 3rd down, and they have also converted on 4th down. Harvard nearly caught with 12 men on the field. Morgan has time, throws to the end zone, and it's incomplete, but a flag in the defensive backfield. Let's see who this is on, but Harvard had to rush to get Damian Henderson off the field before that snap took place.
Another flag in the end zone as well, as you had two breaking off to the right.
Where's the for the play on 4th down?
They pick up the flag, and that will change the calculus here as special teams unit will come on. The field goal attempt by Nick Mazie, that 52-yarder, the second longest in UNH history. Second only to Tom Manning in 2009. He had a 54-yarder against Hofstra.
So 17 straight completions. That'll snap to start this game for Seth Morgan, and really the first throw we've seen not on the money. It was behind, well behind Joey Corcoran.
Here's a 29-yard attempt, and that is easy peasy for Nick.
That guy at his alma mater, Andy Orrick here at Harvard. They were happy to reconnect pregame, guys.
What was interesting is we get the kickoff from Mazie here was how Andy Orrick knew about Rick Santos from way back in the day with those high-flying UNH Rick Santos-led offenses, and he had kept track of what they were doing, what the Chip Kelly teams were doing at UNH. So even though they hadn't met until that job interview a little bit more than a decade later, I think that the renown of Rick Santos and everything that he had done as a player had really preceded him, and really thought he was a great guy when he had the chance to meet him and have that sit down.
It's amazing what those accolades can do to just build a reputation for a guy. But he was well known during the playing days, and now is becoming well known as the head coach of his alma mater. And just how important is that to have a guy that knows what it's like to be a UNH football player, has pride for the program. It was obviously a perfect fit.
Harvard had a 2-play scoring drive its last time. Craig flushed out on the move and will just throw this into his bench. Pressure administered by UNH defensive lineman Flex Ruiz. We talked about Josiah Silver, but Ruiz, another player who has earned an All-American nod in his career. His given name is Dylan, but this year he's going by Flex. That was always his nickname, and here he is as a senior, flexing here with a couple of sacks this year, 4 tackles for loss, and he and Silver form a tremendous duo bookending that defensive line.
If you have a nickname like that, you need to make sure you play up to it, and he sure does. But that was a good job by Jaden Craig. That's his two-way ability, just escaping the pocket on the run, just getting enough on that to avoid a big negative play.
Craig with time delivers, and 2 men in the area, incomplete. Barkate and Woods were in the same spot, and, well, Scott Woods was the best defensive back that UNH had on the field on that play.
You just see both in the same area, like you said. It ends up getting to Barkate. That was a laser from his roommate, Jaden Craig, and Scott Woods just comes over and influences the play. And been a couple of mishaps. I mean, even in the 35-0 win against Stetson, still a lot for Harvard to clean up. Yes, some of it was weather influenced.
Harvard 2 for 4 on 3rd down tonight. And Craig goes down. He's brought down by the man who's flexing. The senior from Orlando, Florida. Flex Ruiz, helped out by Jacoby Sherrard. It's a 3-and-out following the field goal.
Yeah, the last time Craig had the ability to escape, get out of the pocket. And, you know, that's just what happens when you have those mishaps, those blunders on 2nd down that lead to 3rd and longs, obvious passing situations. UNH can bring the house with the talent they have.
So Tasco to punt, Joey Corcoran to receive, and he'll let this bounce. Takes a few Harvard rolls to the 35-yard line, and Corcoran, and it's 1st and 10 from the 45-yard line.
Well, they've used the bubble screen. They like that a lot in these little hitch routes they have, too, with Joey Corcoran. This 7-yard cut back in.
And now Seed will stumble his way forward. Now, these are the types of runs that UNH has had, and the plays that they've had, even when they're not overly successful, they're still gaining yards more often than not, and that's been the case here throughout the night.
When you just look at the build of Isaac Seed, you think he was just going to be a bruiser inside the tackles, a lot of downhill running, but he's showed his ability to get out in space, out in the flat, and pick up some yards that way.
He was a little bit nicked up in the Bryant game, but healthy now, and he is showing it. He's in motion in the backfield. Morgan looks to the right side. This is complete to Burke, who's had a big night already. He's bowled under, though, before reaching midfield.
Yeah, for Harvard, it's just about being structurally sound, making that first tackle. If UNH is going to take the underneath, try and get those couple of yards. Make sure you leave it to a few, because now you got him set up in third and manageable for the defense.
5 catches for Burke, 81 yards, and he had the 14-yard touchdown in the opening quarter. 3rd and 7. Wildcats need to get to the Harvard 45.
Watch this one-on-one, top of your screen. Tight coverage. Ty Bartram, the safety, over that way.
Seed comes back on the hip of Morgan. He's got time now, throws not on the same page with Caleb Burke. Just the second incompletion of the night for Morgan. The pressure helped cause the incompletion there, and it'll be a punt coming up here for Sean Lehane.
Yeah, this Harvard defense needs to find ways to start making Seth Morgan a little bit uncomfortable, because when he's allowed to just sit there in the pocket and he can dot the ball wherever he wants, so better job to get off the field on 3rd down. We mentioned that right off the top. That was going to be important for both of these defenses with how efficient they've been on 3rd down.
Sean Lehane, a senior from Milford, Massachusetts. And now we've got a whistle and a timeout.
Timeout. Harvard. For second and a half. 30 seconds.
So Harvard uses its second timeout. Well, it's early in the Ivy League season. Only 4 teams have played Ivy League games. So take a look at the standings, though. It is certainly not what folks expected, as Brown and Cornell top of the heap, and Harvard and Yale at the bottom, the 2 teams that were picked to finish atop the conference.
Just about to say, you take the preseason poll, flip it upside down. That's what you have at the bottom right now. What a performance Cornell offensively in their Ivy opener against Yale, but just goes to show you how much parity there continues to be in this conference.
CAA has only recently gotten started playing conference games as well. You see New Hampshire with a host of teams that have won their first CAA game. Second year with it being the Coastal Athletic Association. Changing name of the conference last year to better reflect the membership, which is always changing in many of these conferences across college football. It's a fake punt and a completion to the left side. It's caught close to a first down. A flag pops out. The pass was completed over toward the cornerback, Jonathan Collins Jr. And let's see what the flag is. It's right around the 50-yard line. They would have been short of the mark to gain. They needed to get to the 45, and they're, looks like about half a yard shy.
Well, Andy Orrick getting an explanation now, and the original point was that this was going UNH's way. The Wildcats don't think so.
Holding. Picking team number 16. That penalty is declined. Don't declare it. First down. Harvard.
So a double whammy there for UNH. Not only do they not convert, but even if they had converted, it would have come back on the penalty.
Well, now the question is, was the timeout taken originally because Harvard saw something in the formation? They thought this fake was coming, or did this give a second chance for Rick Santos and his staff to think it over and then go for the fake after the timeout?
Sean Lehane, the 2-time Hockomock League All-Star, normally gets it done with the leg. Nearly got it done with the arm there, and the cornerback making the reception. Craig keeping it, looking for it all. He's got Barcade inside the 5. The Craig to Cooper connection. And a second huge pass play for Harvard tonight.
A post route here for Barkate, and this big explosive again through the air is set up with another well-designed play action. Couple of fakes just like we saw on the Scott Woods touchdown. And Cooper Barkate, that's just speed. See, once to Bascon, he hides it on the jet sweep motion.
51-yard hookup. Here's Bascon. Nothing there up the middle. Stopped at the 1-yard line. It's a pickup of 2. And the New Hampshire defensive line will look to stand tall. What a strike. Coming off the fake punt. Stealing that momentum right back.
And one of those opportunities, you get some momentum on a special teams play, you take a shot, and well executed as well. And it's Cooper Barkate. And Jaden Craig, that's where he's had a lot better touch. Now is his first time as a full-year starter is the deep ball.
And now Charles DePrima. He will hand off. Bascon flies across the goal line. A penalty marker over in the corner of the end zone. We'll wait on the call.
Offside. Defense. That penalty is declined. Touchdown.
Exavea Bascon, first touchdown of the season. And Harvard is a point after for taking its first lead.
Efficiency, efficiency, efficiency for the Crimson. The first touchdown drive, 2 plays, 75 yards. This one, 3 plays, 54. And PAT on the way to take the lead.
Kieran Core, second point after attempt, sails through, and after spotting UNH the first 10 points of this contest, Harvard has taken a 14-13 lead, set up by the 51-yard strike from Craig to Barkate.
Yeah, just good speed down the middle from Cooper Barkate. We said it. He's a guy who can make plays. And Bascon with no Shane McLaughlin is going to get the heavy load of touches in the backfield. And he's a guy last year, even as a first-year player, it's not common in the Ivy League for a lot of first-year players to make big impacts. He did, especially on special teams. But a huge run out today for Exavea Bascon.
So Harvard showing a little bit of inventiveness with its offensive game. We've talked so much about how New Hampshire dresses so many things up. They get so creative on a week-to-week basis. And Mickey Fine and the offensive coaching staff of the Crimson showing they can do it as well.
That was one of the things that UNH talked about. Rick Santos talking to when he says just looking at the film from the Stetson game to the Brown game for Harvard, he couldn't really pick up on a lot of tendencies. So good job by Mickey Fine being creative, getting those wrinkles of Andy Orrick as well, the 2 quarterbacks.
So Core will kick it off. And Caleb Mead is the deep man for the Wildcats. And he'll have a chance to return this one from the 5. Mead sets it up and cannot escape the tackle. Close to the 25-yard line. He's eventually brought down by the Crimson's Jack Donahoe. Andy Orrick, he talked to his coaching staff before the first practice of the week, and he asked his team, or his coaches, how do you think that the guys are going to come out after such an emotional loss? See Andy Orrick there, buried amongst his coaching staff. Other coaches said, I think they'll come out firing. He's loved the mentality that his team has showed after losing the Ivy opener.
Yeah, it's good to show just what the culture is this program, what the leadership is like to get these guys rallied again, because the famous quote is you can't let a team beat you twice. You can't let that loss have a hangover effect, and you can't dwell on it.
Seed tries to shake off the first hit, but can't escape the arms of Tyler Huneman, the senior defensive tackle. Honorable mention All-Ivy a year ago. As far as the running game, UNH has only averaged 2.6 yards a run. They've got 23 yards rushing. Again, that was the area that they wanted to improve, and while we've seen the flashes at times from Seed, he's got a lot of handoffs. He hasn't broken off and gashed this Harvard defense yet.
That really hasn't been the MO so far, this UNH offense. They've had a couple of big passing plays, but it's been more methodical, chipping away.
Morgan to the outside. Great diving catch by Tomlinson. Once again, UNH is taking what Harvard's defense is giving them, the short passes to these veteran wideouts.
And the zone coverage, those quick out routes, get the one-on-one on that side of the field. But between Tomlinson, Corcoran, and Burke, this trio of wide receivers, and you don't really see drops. They're just so experienced, so sure-handed. And even when they've been in tight windows, press coverage, these guys are able to haul it in.
Seed split out to the right. Empty backfield for Morgan. Looks to his left. He fires deep downfield and overshoots his target. He was looking for Burke, who had a career-high 151 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns against Bryant. And on 3rd and 4, the UNH offense stalls and will have to punt.
Even on this 3rd and 4, it was almost prevent defense, it seemed, from the Crimson. Only with 3 down line, and they dropped 7 back in coverage. Good safety help over the top, well covered on that empty set 5 wide.
UNH just 2 for 7 on 3rd down offensively. That is an area where they've struggled, 119th in 3rd down offense. Scott Woods retreats to his 23, makes the first man miss. Woods knocked down shy of the 40-yard line, but the dangerous return man Woods, who had the long pass completion for a touchdown earlier in the half, sets up Harvard at the 39-yard line.
Yeah, Scott Woods is poised to have a massive senior season, both returning the ball, a difference maker on special teams, and just getting him more plays in the slot this year, having a much larger role. He was banged up at the start of last year, had a couple of touchdowns early in that season, but he's starting to get that consistency going. He's got that big play ability.
So the Crimson offense, a chance to extend the advantage. Trailed 10-0 and 13-7. And the big plays have helped propel them to the scores. Craig, he's got a man, but missed Bascon. That might have gone for 6 more if he hit Bascon in stride. Instead, it's an incompletion. Craig is only 4 for 12 passing, but he's thrown for 134 yards with those 4 completions.
Yeah, they faked the jet sweep to Charles DePrima because they've already gotten pretty good chunk play first down on the sweep to DePrima. So on faking it, it allowed Bascon to just leak out of the backfield unmanned, and that's one that Craig wants to have back.
Fakes the handoff, now facing pressure, flips it in Bascon's direction dangerously. Incomplete pass. That was a screen that went awry, and it's 3rd and 10.
And if you were Harvard, you were hoping this was going to be a drive to take some clock down towards the half, but right now 2 ineffective plays that keep the clock rolling, or don't keep the clock rolling. If UNH gets off the field here, 3 timeouts over 2 minutes, they have plenty of time to hit, and they get the ball to start the second half. So this is a huge 3rd down right now for the Crimson.
Crimson have only taken 10 seconds off the clock, have not moved a yard. Harvard 2 for 5 on 3rd down today. Woods in motion, a flag pops up, might be for illegal motion, and he drops the pass. Looked like he was moving toward the line of scrimmage when the ball was snapped, and this will be a procedure penalty coming up against Harvard.
Illegal formation for the 4 plays in the back offense. Penalties declined. 4th down.
That's a huge win right there for UNH defensively. It's forcing that 3 and out, and Harvard 3 incompletions, so plenty of time now. The way this offense can move the ball, they can still be methodical. You have the 2-minute timeout, 3 timeouts left, so this is a big chance for UNH to get a 2-for-1.
Tasco's punt to Caleb Burke, and again it takes a great Harvard bounce. This is going to roll inside the 10-yard line. Well, Sebastian Tasco's had a great start to his season. The coverage unit there make the road a little bit longer. You see that left side moving. And now whistles out on the field.
Please reset the game clock to 1:57:57.
Itchy trigger finger on the clock operator, taking a second off the clock.
97 yards to go. Thank you for that. 1:57 left, all the way backed up your own 3 with the 3 timeouts. This is plenty for UNH.
Seed bottled up. Remember, Harvard only has the 1 timeout in case they wanted to try and get the ball back here. Won't have as much time as if they had their full complement as UNH gets it to the 5. Whip to the outside. This is caught by Corcoran, and he's ridden out of bounds. That'll stop the clock as Wildcats get it to the 12, needing to get to the 16-yard line.
Yeah, when you're backed up this much, the first kind of plays of the drive are just dictating what you're going to do going forward, especially this point of the half. A couple of small plays you might elect to just let the clock run out. As it kind of seemed that way after the first rushing play. They let it tick down about 15 seconds, but now setting up a 3rd and manageable.
So Harvard looking for the stop to get the ball back after they went 3 and out on their last drive. Morgan has time, dumps it off. It's caught by Corcoran. He gets to the 16. He's got a first down. And UNH will see how quickly they want to move here.
Harvard sent Gonzer on a linebacker blitz here, and what that did was leave the middle of the field wide open for Joey Corcoran. And Corcoran has been an underneath guy. Quick little hitch routes. He's been the safety valve for Seth Morgan.
Morgan all day takes a shot down the right sideline, and it is caught. Logan Tomlinson. Over 50 yards down to the Harvard 37. Biggest play of the night for UNH.
Well, with how much explosive power this UNH team has on the outside, they do well of identifying the one-on-one. And Tomlinson, what a catch. And now this drive is in business for the Wildcats.
Scott Larkey, the Harvard defensive coordinator, said the number of 30-plus yard plays has just been ridiculous through New Hampshire's first 4 games, and they hit on a huge one. Goes down for officially 46 yards. And the Crimson now facing a 3rd and 1 defensively as the Wildcats with the clock running are now operating pretty comfortably here, still with their timeouts. Morgan fires left side, and it's caught, completed. That's to Noah Cundiff, his first catch of the season. Sophomore from Palm Coast, Florida, getting involved. So it's a team that they have the trio of wide receivers in Tomlinson, Burke, and Corcoran, but a couple of guys waiting in the wings that we've already seen make a couple of plays tonight.
Yeah, they are so deep in this wide receiver room, and so no matter who it is, they're put into a good scheme to put them in space to make catches. These 3 to 5 yard outs have been there for the Wildcats.
4 receivers for Seth Morgan. He faces pressure and goes down. Marcus Alexander, the middle linebacker from Las Vegas. He hits Blackjack and pushes New Hampshire further back as the Wildcats call a timeout. Alexander had 11 tackles, a career high against Brown last week. He gets his first career sack. And that will make it a 2nd and 20 here for the UNH offense.
Yeah, they dial up some more pressure here from the middle of the field. This was earlier in that drive. This is that big shot, streak one-on-one. You get the coverage, even a great cover corner in Damian Henderson out there, but Logan Tomlinson now over 200 career receptions at his time at Wesleyan. If the CAA is the SEC of the FCS, the NESCAC is the Ivy League of Division III, and that's where Logan Tomlinson came from.
No, he had a great career there. Couple of seasons, he was the team captain in 2022 for Wesleyan. In 18 games there, caught nearly 2,000 yards worth of passes. As out of the timeout, Seed bounces to the outside and escapes a couple of men. Finally makes his way up to the 26 before he's driven back. Clock continues to run, and now Rick Santos calls the timeout.
Second charge, timeout half, UNH.
How many defenders does it take to bring down Isaac C? That play looked dead to rights at around the 32-yard line. He just bounces off contact, fights for those extra yards.
For 26 seconds.
So it'll be 3rd and 16. They mark him down officially at the 28-yard line. Damian Henderson was the first one to get there, and he was able to get back into the play, but still couldn't bring down the big 200-plus pounder from Everett.
Well, now after they've seen Nick Mazie hit a 52-yarder in this game, this kind of changes what you can do play calling-wise here for UNH. This isn't a situation where you're trying to get conservative, just get a few yards to make things easy. If you trust Nick Mazie from 52, this one be from around 47, so still chance to take a shot here. You trust your field goal kicker.
Yeah, in some cases, you're just trying to pick up an extra 5 or 6 yards to make it more realistic, but after what we saw Mazie do earlier in the quarter, potential that he could hit from here. 3rd and 16. Morgan dumps it off. Caught by Tomlinson. Room to run. But he will not advance past the 25. And with the clock running, we'll have a field goal attempt likely as the final play of the first half. Austin Jake Guillory taking over some of the role that Gavin Shipman had. He will get credit for the tackle, and timeout taken with 2 seconds left by Rick Santos. Should be about a 43-yard field goal.
30 seconds.
Yeah, first one was more from the left side in between the hashes. This one will be completely to the right. And we'll see if Harvard will use that final timeout once Mazie is set up.
Wind is theoretically at Mazie's back. That's what the flags show, both on the upright and also the flags at the top of the stadium. But as we know, sometimes with the horseshoe here at Harvard Stadium, it's not always like that. But it appears like that wind is true here at this point tonight. But Rick Santos said, you know, our battles with Harvard, I know how the wind can shift within the quarter sometimes. You just don't take it for granted, or you don't take those flags as gospel. 43-yard attempt, and now Harvard, as you predicted.
Final charge, time of the half. Harvard, 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's not exactly a genius prediction there. You can't take them with you, but that's a big reason why these specialists are out here, especially at Harvard Stadium, hours before kickoff, trying to get as much intel as they can on both sides of the field. But again, like you said, what happens pregame might really not dictate what happens during the game with the wind consistently changing, especially on Friday night here after the sun's gone down.
Crimson have a history of excellent special teams. Ryan Crawford and now the head coach of Columbia, John Poppy, have been special teams coordinators that presided over a unit over multiple years that has excelled in blocking kicks and punts. They've averaged almost a block kick per game. Looking for their first, though, in 2024. Good snap, good hold, and the kick is also good. The Wildcats retake the lead on the final play of the second quarter and go into the locker room on top 16-14.
Well, UNH jumped out to a 10-0 lead in this one. How about the start for the Wildcats? The methodical drive they went on, 10 plays, 82 yards, and you said it, Harvard spotted them. 10 points, but a good response from Harvard, taking that lead at 14-13, but UNH able to march down the field. These are two tightly contested things in front of you defensively, especially in the secondary. They respect the talent this Crimson team has, and for Harvard defensively, try and get a little bit more aggressive, because right now UNH is just picking and popping whenever those 5-yard routes are open.
UNH won the opening coin flip, deferred until the second half, so they will receive the second half kickoff. Caleb Mead is the deep man, and Kieran Corer, the freshman from Winchester, will kick things off. UNH had the touchdown to Caleb Burke, and they are in a dogfight here with the Crimson. Rick Santos said, I want to play the baddest team in the neighborhood, and he figured Harvard would be a good option Speaking of the head coach for New Hampshire, he caught up with Amanda Keene, and let's check down with the third member of our crew.
Thanks, Alex. Coach Santos said he's proud of his team. They're playing hard and they're playing clean. But he said what Harvard is doing really well is they're holding us to field goals in the red zone. He says we have to keep them in front on defense. They beat us long twice. That's what's kept them in this game. Now, Andy Orrick for the Crimson says we just want to keep doing what we're doing. We have to make them earn it. We've been doing that. And their energy is great. He says he hopes that they're able to keep that energy going from the first half and carry it through the end of the game, guys.
Terrific, Amanda, as UNH starts with a fake and a flip to the left side. This is caught by Logan Perez. The ball pops out. Harvard jumping on it. They think they have it, and they do. Disaster for the Wildcats on their first play from scrimmage in the third quarter. And Harvard will take over inside the 15-yard line.
That is demoralizing for UNH. Coming out of halftime, scripting this drive, knowing they're getting the ball first, and that play just never looked like it was ahead of schedule. To fake the pitch, then an off-balance throw on the screen back to Logan Perez. So the pitch with Seed not there. Harvard wasn't full defensively. They had this play right away. Question one, and then knee came down for Perez, but did not look like he maintained possession through it.
See the tackle, hard to tell what happened there. Perez just loses the football. And Harvard takes over at the 13-yard line. This is Exavea Bascon. And there has not been much real estate for running backs right up the middle here tonight. We saw Seed with a little bit of success to the outside, but both defensive fronts on the interior holding up.
Yeah, Garrett Gillick's got to be happy for his defensive line that has been gashed at points this season, especially in the run game. So here's the second half. Impact players, and you see Scott Woods. He has the ability both ways. Special teams, he had that big chunk for the touchdown. Mitchell Gonzer, one of the leaders of this defense for Harvard. And how about for UNH? Flex Ruiz, just the ability to create pressure. We touched on Josiah Silver and the combination they have in the ends.
Craig for the end zone, and that's incomplete. He was looking for Woods. Led him a bit too far. Had to rush the throw with pressure coming from his left side.
Yeah, a little bit tougher having a rush there. And we've seen that Jaden Craig has had the feel for the deep balls. Just need to clean up some of those medium passes that have just been off the mark.
Coming into tonight, UNH had held opponents to 40% touchdowns in the red zone. They were 6 of 14. This feels like a big spot for the Wildcat defense to try and hold up on 3rd and 8. Try and keep Harvard to a field goal attempt.
You have one-on-one at the top. This could be a fade route. No safety help over there.
Craig looking left. Has time, steps up. He is inside the 10, sheds the tackler, and he works his way inside the 5-yard line, close to a first down.
Now just tough running from Jaden Craig. Big third down early in this second half, and a good job by him to just pull it down and run. He has that two-way ability. And it was contained well in the pocket until Jaden Craig was able to find that avenue forward, and it was well covered in the end zone as well by the UNH secondary.
They mark him just shy. It's 4th and 1. Harvard's offense is on the field. Craig you see on the sideline. Charles DePrima comes in at quarterback. He's got Bascon to his left. DePrima, option play. Bascon cuts it in. He won't get there. The Wildcats stand up. Flex Ruiz involved. Brandon Perkins as well. And after the disastrous start for UNH, they keep Harvard from picking up a first down and a touchdown.
Oh, that is a huge pick-me-up, and that is a way for a defense to pick up their offense and get the momentum back after that one-play drive that led to a turnover. And yeah, right when DePrima was in the game, you just thought with his speed, this was going to be some type of run option play to the boundary.
UNH defense, that red zone defense has been immense this season. They stand up once again. And the offense takes over at the 6-yard line for the Wildcats. A handoff for Seed. gets a little bit of a push from the offensive line. Andy Orick not happy with the way that sequence turned out. Let's take another look at the 4th and 1.
Here's the option, and this was well covered. 2 defenders there from UNH. They're running this to the boundary side of the field. 4 less defenders. You want to get a 2-on-1 there with Charles DePrima and Exavea Bascon, but good awareness. Good job by UNH. They had that covered up. There was nothing doing there.
2nd and 9 from the 8-yard line. And Morgan, nobody in the backfield with him. Has time over the middle, caught by Tomlinson, and he is immediately pancaked down. Only gets to the 10. Ty Bartram, Damian Henderson, Marcus Alexander, all in the area. 3rd and long upcoming.
Yeah, another conservative but a high percentage route that UNH has got accustomed to when Harvard has gone with zone defense, just dropping 5-yard hitch. Seen it a lot from Joey Corcoran. Now it's Logan Tomlinson. Just the targets continue to trend upwards for the grad student.
Did give him a few yards there, so it's 3rd and 5. That's Burke in motion to the right side. And Seed moving to the left. They get it in Burke's direction, looking for blocking, and Harvard on it. Only a pickup of maybe a yard, and New Hampshire will be forced to punt to 3 and out after Harvard's offense was stopped on 4th down.
Well, UNH has had some success in this game going with the bubble screens. They try a little tunnel screen here with 2 blockers, and Harvard, great job of the gang tackle, just aggressive to the football and outnumbering things and not allowing that to break out for the Wildcats.
Morgan tonight, 28 of 31 passing, 90.3%. for 235 yards in the touchdown.
But Harvard gets the stop they needed deep in UNH territories. They will get good field position here.
And Sean Lehane on to punt. His teammates call him Legatron.
Play a game. Kicking team. Draft penalty. 4th down.
And they're going to need every bit of Lehane's leg. He has 1 punt tonight for 46 yards, but be pushed back 5 yards on the delay of game. Obviously not what that man was looking for here to start this second half. A little discombobulated in all aspects.
Yeah, not the same fluidity that we saw in the first half where UNH was moving the ball effectively, moving the sticks, picking up 1st down after 1st down.
Scott Woods set up near midfield to receive this. From the 46, he'll get immediately tackled. Is ripped down. Coverage on the play from Wildcats' Gavin Erda.
Good one. Albany picked near the top of the CAA, and Cornell coming off that huge win against Yale.
Jaden Craig is just after a pickup of 2 yards. Nothing opening up downfield. Harvard, they turn the ball over on downs on 4th down on their last drive, taking over at the 13-yard line. Interesting to see if the defenses will step up in a little bit of a different way. We saw UNH give Harvard a really tough time. You talked about how sustainable was what Harvard did in the first half. Can they do it here on a couple of big plays in the second half? We shall see. Find Scott Woods. They wanted to make him an emphasis in this game, and he lunges forward to get that 1st down. Good effort at the end of that play by the wide receiver from Virginia.
Well, they talk about it in the run game, but sort of the same thing here on this screen play is when you get one-on-one against a safety, can you make them miss? And coming down was Brendan Ty, but Scott Woods, good design play there, and he's been the guy that Harvard has tried to get the ball to.
Woods had 4 catches over the first 2 games this season. He's got 3 for 87 yards tonight. Fake the handoff, design quarterback run. Craig made 1 man miss, but cannot avoid Noah Stansbury, the cornerback from Orange, New Jersey. Coming off a 9-tackle game against Bryant, 3rd in the CAA in passes defended this season, but steps up in the run game. You know, Craig, sometimes you forget about it, but he is a threat with his feet in a different way than Charles DePrima is.
He's more of a bullying runner, but he has the ability to keep plays alive. We've seen it especially with this aggressive pass rush.
Woods on the quick pitch, and he'll get close to a first down, about a yard shy. 6-yard pickup on second down. A third and short for the Harvard offense as they look to build some momentum here in the third quarter.
Well, this is better from the Crimson, just chipping away. And if Scott Woods keeps meeting Brendan Ty, that's a good thing for Harvard, because that means that the Crimson are getting their receivers into the second level.
Fourth catch for Woods. No one else has caught more than one ball for Harvard. Jaden Craig, 6 of 16 passing, but for 148 yards. 2 huge plays accounting for the bulk of that. Bascon trying to pick up 1 yard. He won't get it. Immediately met Ryan Toscano, the graduate student linebacker from Bedford, New Hampshire. Honorable mention all-conference last year, semifinalist for the Campbell Trophy. He dialed up this one and, along with a little bit of help, snuffed out this Crimson drive.
Yeah, a play call like that on third down shows you this is 4-down territory for the Crimson.
So 4th and 2. 8 minutes to go in the quarter. And Harvard going forward on 4th down for the second time since halftime. Play clock down to 1. They get the snap off. Craig to throw. Looks right side. It's caught. He's got the tight end, Ryan Osborne. And a big play inside the 25. 14-yard pickup to Osborne, who caught a highlight reel touchdown in week 1 against Stetson.
Well, this is the first time in the game that we have mentioned a tight end for Harvard, and it's Ryan Osborne who's starting becoming a receiving threat. Mentioned those 4 catches against Stetson. They just roll him out wide. He's unmarked. And a great play call by Mickey Fine to pick up that 4th down.
Osborne, a junior from MacArthur, California. The 4 catches against the Hatters, the first 4 of his college career. That is catch number 5. Craig, moving pocket, throws across his body for Barkade. He's got it inside the 5. 20-yard connection. Craig to Barkade. And Harvard has 1st and goal from the 2.
Now this time Harvard goes with 2 tight ends in the formation, gets some extra beef and pass protection. And how about the fadeaway throw? Great touch, and it's a little bit behind Cooper Barkade, but that's just fine because Brendan Ty was just watching Barkade, had no position to defend that ball.
DePrima in at quarterback, and we get whistles on the field. Was there a timeout called, or they will reset the play clock? Game clock will continue to run here, so it's DePrima with Malik Frederick to his right. DePrima keeps it, trying to find the angle, cannot escape. Again, Noah Stansbury was the first one there to slow him down. And New Hampshire's doing a great job of preventing DePrima from getting around the edge.
Yeah, they know what the threat is when it comes to Charles DePrima, and it's even a good block that was laid out by Malik Frederick to even allow him to get out to the flat, but Ryan Toscano defends it well. It was slowed down. Good job. Noah Stansbury, the first one there.
Knocked Harvard back a yard. 2nd and goal from the 3. This time it's Frederick. Toscano there to meet him. Pyle pushing forward. Ball pop, or helmet popped out. Frederick down at the 1-yard line. You realize when nobody was chasing down what popped out of there, it wasn't the ball, it was a helmet. Now Frederick has to come off because it was his helmet.
I was right with you because it seemed pretty nonchalant how it just came out of the pile, but this has really been one of the factors here defensively for UNH, has been this defensive line holding up in the run game. These 2 D tackles deserve a lot of credit, and Neil Politano and Cameron Garner-Young.
Bascon, huge hole, his 2nd touchdown. Crimson back on top. After it was like pulling teeth to get a yard here or there, that's about as easy a touchdown at the goal line as you're going to see.
Yeah, right on cue. Right as I credit the 2 defensive tackles clogging up running lanes, untouched. goes Exavea Bascon, and Harvard, that was more of that methodical drive. Yes, you have the big play from Cooper Barcade to set you up in the red zone, but being able to pick up first downs, getting those small little plays to stay ahead of schedule.
Point after hits the upright, but still clears. So Kieran Core and the Crimson dodge a bullet. Hit good. Friendly goalposts here at Harvard Stadium help out the home team.
Improved. They belong in the upper echelon.
URI is the only team that Harvard has faced in the CAA other than New Hampshire here. They just don't have a lot of history against teams from the Coastal Athletic Association. And here they are restarting the UNH series. Here's a run back from Caleb Mead. Sheds a tackler, dancing past the 30. Boy, Harvard's having a hard time bringing him down. And finally, he does go down, but not before a big run back and a late flag comes in.
It's extra yards after contact. They've been one of the stories. Obviously, you get it from Isaac Seed, but just relentless from UNH.
Rick Santos is pleading for a face mask. Would set his team up with great field position. See, Santos has been doing this for about the last 30 seconds. Long discussion here with Alex Perella and company. Let's hear the call.
Third return. Legal block in the back. Her team, the 28. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
Well, Rick Santos needs to work on his politicking skills.
'Tis the season.
Andy Orrick was a politics major at Princeton, so the art of the subtle sell worked to his advantage there.
You just got to think, if that was a face mask that Santos was going for, that would have been earned by the second effort. Even keeping that return going, so that would have been 15 more added on to already what was a good return.
So on first down, Morgan. And what a play by Tomlinson. Did he hold on? He did not. Well, Logan Tomlinson, through no fault of his own, gave everything to try and make this reception.
Well, this is what they can do with Seth Morgan. Design plays to get him moving, throwing outside the pocket, and it just doesn't survive the ground. And uncharacteristic of Logan Tomlinson, who has been a vacuum, anything thrown his way.
Wildcats have done such a nice job of getting their receivers open. Even when the coverage has been good, they've been able to throw them open. Off into the boundary. Morgan on second down. He's going back to that left side, this time to Burke, and great coverage on the play from Miles Wiley, the safety coming over. And Burke, who's made some sensational catches, can't come up with this one.
Miles Wiley is one of those new names in the secondary for Harvard on the 2 deep. A senior, only played in 3 games last year. You can't defend a ball better than he just did. Caleb Burke, this is thrown in the bucket. He high points it. But just at the necessary moment, Miles Wiley gets the hand up, avoids legal contact, pass interference, holding. Perfect defense. The Crimson safety.
We asked defensive coordinator for Harvard, Scott Larkey, who has stood out, and on this defense, he said Miles Wiley. They love the way he's played, so aggressive, and he knows the defense. They're thrilled to see him get back out there after an injury last year. On third down, Santos goes left side, incomplete. Wiley again in coverage. Got there right as the ball did, and 3 incompletions will force a quick punt.
Starting to see a little bit more aggression in this Harvard defense. That time it was Ty Bartram blitzing from the free safety position, so trying to get more numbers in the box, trying to disrupt Seth Morgan, because his accuracy has been precise, not on this drive.
Sean Lehane back to punt for the third time. Scott Woods is standing at his 31. Great punt and a fair catch called for by Woods. And the Harvard offense will take over close to its 20-yard line with a who have been and are still affected by everything that happened with Hurricane Helene. Is out of the change of possession. It is Charles DePrima getting the ball in his hands, and he gets to the 29-yard line and a pickup of 9 yards on first down.
Now, jet sweep motion again. That is what they've done for Charles DePrima. They've simplified things to get him the ball. Just think, you talked about it with Mickey Fine during the week, just the emotional roller coaster this past 2 seasons have been. Charles DePrima, midseason All-American last year, riding high, starting job. Then he loses it, but does not have the ego to frustrate himself. He still wants to be a huge part of this offense.
Handoff and just getting enough for the first down. Harvard gets to the 31-yard line with Malik Frederick, who's seeing a bump in playing time. The captain for Harvard, Shane McLaughlin, the starting running back, out tonight because of an injury. They expect that he should be able to return next week when Harvard will play another Friday night game at Cornell.
Yeah, that's a huge one now. You want to avoid that 0-2 start in Ivy League play. It'll put you seriously behind the 8 ball. That's a Cornell team that has some momentum. We mentioned that Yale win.
Craig hands off Frederick. That's a big hole. He's got a first down, and he's finally ridden down by Wande Owens, the former Yale captain who makes the tackle. Owens was a player that Harvard coaches, they really circled, and not just because he was the leader of the Eli's team that beat Harvard at the end of last season, but he is just playing so well. 9 tackles and a sack 2 weeks ago against Bryant.
And Rick Santos said he was going to give Owens the chance to talk to the team this week and just talk to the guys about what this means to him, this rivalry playing in the game.
Frederick out to the 45. Yeah, they're trying to build up the emotion for this game because, I mean, nobody on New Hampshire has any history as far as playing Harvard. There's no bad blood that you can try and get those passions running a little bit deeper. But when you have a guy who's as intimately familiar with the rivalry with Harvard, you give him that platform. You know he's a great leader. He's been a leader from day one since he showed up onto the campus in Durham, and he tried to get the troops fired up to play this game.
Yeah, it shows you the culture of this program. All right, it means that much to him. All right, it means that much to everyone in this locker room.
Craig to throw on 2nd and 8, and he completes to Barkate at midfield. They'll give him progress to the 49 of UNH, so Harvard sets up for a 3rd and short as the clock ticks toward 2 minutes left in this 3rd quarter, which has been all Harvard.
And Wande Owens was there again on the tackle, but much better from the Crimson, sustaining drives.
Craig, pocket breaks down, rolls, throws, incomplete. Coverage by Stansbury. 4th and 2 in decision time for Andy Orick. Do you give New Hampshire a long field to work with, or do you roll the dice to think you can pick up 2 yards?
It looks like they're going to punt this one away. The decision was made as Jaden Craig was looking over to the sideline for an answer.
So Sebastian Tasco will come out to punt. Tasco, 4 punts. He's averaged 46.5 yards of boot. And Joey Corcoran back to receive at the 20. Crimson have gotten some great rolls. They won't get one here. His fair catch is made at the 17. And a long field for the Wildcats. Trailing north on the show. And Wildcats hoping things work out better in December and January.
I'm just going to have to agree with what you said. I echo that sentiment, but yeah, they played that game down at the bounce house at UCF to start the year, but their season is going to be dictated by what they do in the north.
Currently in a New England stretch, Holy Cross, Stonehill, Bryant, and Harvard, 4 straight games against New England teams. 2nd and 9 for the Wildcats. Pocket collapsing, and that leads to a broken up pass. Bartram decides to take it to the house in case it was a fumble. Well, for UNH, they haven't had any turnovers forced here tonight, but you think back a little bit earlier this season, here's an example when they get the big play. This was against Stonehill 3 weeks ago. Flush the quarterback out, you get the interception, and then what do? You make a beeline. There you go, the cloak, the sword. Guys have been eating it up on the Wildcats this season. Big 3rd down from the 18. 3rd and 9 all day. Morgan trying to find a target, whips it, incomplete, intended for Burke, who was hit midair. He had it, but the contact forced the incompletion.
Another perfectly timed defended ball. Miles Wiley is over there. Harvard only rushes 3. They drop 8 back in coverage. and even force a little pressure with 3. Owens has been the big target downfield and just great safety help. Miles Wiley reads the play. You see, just surrounded by Crimson, the aggression of this defense has really picked up. We have not seen the same efficiency and execution here in the third quarter for UNH.
Morgan had 3 incompletions in the first half. He's got 5 here in the third quarter. And a flag pops out.
Offense for 46. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Second time the Wildcats have been backed up when they've been ready to punt. Something changed in this second half. Harvard has come out. They've played much crisper, not necessarily mistake-free, but certainly UNH has been looking for answers, particularly on offense.
I think they've switched a little bit more from that zone where they were giving you the 5-yard underneath routes. They're saying, you want to beat us, go ahead, try and beat us over the top.
Woods calls for the fair catch and makes it on his knees back at the 42-yard line. 43 seconds to go in the third quarter. Harvard has the only points in the third. The 1-yard touchdown plunge by Bascon is second of the game.
Yeah, it's been just the big difference defensively for Scott Larkey's group. And if you're going to allow UNH to take a few more deep shots down the field, you really have to trust your safeties. And for Harvard, they got 2 great ones. Miles Wiley, like you mentioned, was really stood out this year. And then Ty Bartram, one of the smartest X's and O's guy on the roster.
A couple of trends keeping track of, particularly the one at the bottom. Harvard, over the last 3 seasons, 7-0 following a loss. They haven't lost back-to-back games since October of 2021. Trying to avoid that fate here tonight. Bascon gets past the line and into UNH territory to the 38. Exavea Bascon's best run of the night.
Well, it's just the battle of attrition right now that Harvard's winning. They're starting to get bigger holes on this defensive line for UNH, and just a good delay by Bascon. Slow to the hole and fast through it to get those extra yards.
See if Harvard will run a play here before the quarter comes to an end. They don't have to. Bascon with that run, 19 yards. He's now run for 28 yards total, so again, just goes to...
It's in that third quarter. Let's look at the rush yards. Through one half of football, Harvard had 17. In the third quarter alone, they had 57. And then for UNH, 248 passing yards at halftime, -4 in that third quarter.
Harvard driving at the Wildcats' 39-yard line, 1st and 10. Jaden Craig in at quarterback, and he's back to pass. Flush to the right. He throws deep for Woods and overcooks it. There was room to run there if Craig wanted to. Probably could have picked up close to first down yardage, but eyes downfield. Probably Mickey Fine is all right for that. If you look for the big play and it's there, he wants you to take that shot.
Yeah, that's one thing with running quarterbacks. Sometimes they become a little bit too reliant on the legs and not really go through their progressions and let things develop. Jaden Craig has the ability to extend plays running out to the right flat.
A handoff, Exavea Bascon. Good push from the offensive line. And it's a pickup of close to 5 yards. Sets up for a 3rd and 5. And this is a big third down here for the New Hampshire defense.
The offensive line has flipped the script here in this second half. They are winning the battle of the trenches. And Exavea Bascon is being able to get 3 to 4 yards up the field before contact. That is the big difference in the second half.
You talk about flipping the script. It's a bit the opposite of the first quarter, where it felt like UNH was dominating, yet they never led by more than 10 points. Here, Harvard has had everything going its way in the second half, and you look at the scoreboard, it's a 5-point game. On 3rd and 5, Bascon, another huge hole. He's got the first down and then some, down to the 26-yard line on an 8-yard run. And this is good news for Harvard, bad news for UNH, is that run game is really starting to get producing. Something that Andy Orrick talked about with us. He wants to get that offensive line moving, those down linemen to create the running holes.
Yeah, that's been a big issue this season for UNH at points, has been the rush defense. Obviously, it's skewed a little bit from that UCF game, but even after that has not been the bright spot of this defense.
Seamus Gilmartin, 3rd string tight end in motion. It's a double handoff, and it goes back to Craig. UNH sniffs it out, though, and Craig throws it away.
And they try some trickeration, and UNH was not fooled whatsoever. For a second there, it looked like DePrima was just going to leak out and take that pass back from Jaden Craig. And it's one thing you have to watch out for. When are we going to see it with DePrima and Craig out there, the double pass?
That is close to it as we've seen to this point. And you can tell whenever DePrima lines up as a receiver, you see the UNH players pointing him out. He is a guy that they want to know where he is, and he's accounted for.
Yeah, he's not just a decoy. He is a very big part of this offense.
Caught a 52-yard pass, his first career reception last week at Brown. Goes into his hands, around the edge, tries to make a man miss, and he doesn't. Sniffing it out, Wande Owens. Graduate student from Cooksville, Maryland. He was twice a first-team All-Ivy player. He was an All-New England player for the Bulldogs. And you see he's got his eyes on number 16 to make the tackle.
Yeah, with him step for step to the flat, and then when DePrima applied the brakes, trying to beat him back to the inside, Angle was cut down. Just a great job in one-on-one tackling there by Wande Owens.
Crimson are in field goal range. Needs 7 yards for the first down. Craig, time to throw. Flush to the outside. It's a foot race. Craig bowled over shy of the first down. He needed 7. Looks like he got 5. And it becomes decision time again for Harvard.
This is Sean Webb who makes this tackle, and this is a good recovery by Webb. He's one-on-one coverage with Cooper Barcade, and Barcade actually stumbles back to this side of the field, which allowed Webb to turn around, make the tackle. He wasn't even looking at the ball. That side of the field was wide open. They're going for it here.
And Craig may be a little bit shaken up. He was doubled over as he made his way to the sideline. He's off the field. DePrima in there on 4th and 1. He hands it off. Bascon barrels forward. And he is going to be oh so close. This is going to depend on the spot. He is right at the 16 where he needs to get to. And the most momentous spotting of the football in this game to this point.
So it's right on the 16.
I'm out for a measurement.
This is a rare measurement at Harvard Stadium. They often eyeball it more often than not.
Well, you have Rick Santos eyeballing the chain as well. It looks like...
See, the nose of the football is past the 16. UNH stopped Harvard in the red zone in the third quarter on 4th down. But not this time. Bascon got just enough. First down, Harvard.
Yeah, just the nose of the football there. And aggressive from Andy Orrick. Well in field goal range. And he had mentioned, yes, in a 5-point game, this was a similar situation to last week. Going for a field goal to make 5 points, an 8-point game. But he mentioned, yeah, 8 points. It is a one-score game, but a lot needs to happen. There's still plenty of time to go in this game, but keeping the foot on the accelerator.
DePrima back in there, so Craig does not come right back in. We'll have to monitor that. DePrima keeps it, looking for an angle. DePrima, touchdown! 16 yards for the Oakland, New Jersey native, and the sprinter's speed shows off for the Harvard score.
Well, that is what Charles DePrima is all about. Play action, gets the DN to bite. Little read from DePrima once he tucks and runs. There's not many that can beat him out in the open field. At 4.5 speed, just watching the DN, waiting for his movement, Jordan McAllister, and when he bit on the fake, DePrima kept it, and he's off to the races.
Kieran Corr's kick is good to give Harvard a 12-point lead. And DePrima, who ran the 200-meter in 21 seconds in high school, didn't even look like he needed the high gear this time. Easy running for the Harvard backup quarterback. And Harvard has the game's biggest lead at 12 points.
Offense that UNH has. So this is going to be a big drive here. See how Rick Santos' team can respond by trailing for the largest they have tonight.
You mentioned the Harvard defense has gotten a little bit more aggressive here in the second half. We'll see if that continues. Seth Morgan trying to find a target on the run. He's got a man deep going that way, and it is incomplete. UNH looking for a flag. Coverage on the play by Harvard and defensive back Zayden Benson, who had an interception against Stetson.
The important thing here for Zayden Benson, always keeping his eye on the ball. He's playing the ball here in just a collision down the field with Caleb Burke, and there was a tight end who slipped up the field who was wide open. Said, make that seed, not a tight end. He was wide open, but that's what Harvard has done defensively here in the second half. They are allowing UNH to take these deep shots, trusting the safeties is too high look.
And there are some officiating crews that would have thrown a penalty flag for pass interference, but not tonight. Harvard, one of the least penalized teams in the country for the second straight year. Now Morgan on the move. He can do this, and he reaches out shy of the first down marker, but it'll be 1 yard to pick up the first. There is a flag at midfield. Looks like this is going against the Harvard secondary.
Holding. Defense for 20. 10-yard penalty on that first down.
It's Marcus Alexander, the linebacker, whistled for the hold.
Yeah, just the spot of the field that was thrown deep in the secondary with a linebacker. You can just think in an uncomfortable situation. You see
10-yard penalty tapped on from the end of the run.
Marcus Alexander was on the right side of your screen, but he had to go deep down the field, and just a holding as he was caught in an unfamiliar situation, having to go one-on-one with a wide receiver.
So the 10 yards added to the end of the run, and UNH, well, they wanted that pass interference. They end up getting essentially what that penalty yardage would have been, and then some, as Isaac Seed gets the handoff, and Harvard will bring him down, but not before a healthy pickup of 8 or 9 yards. Isaac Seed, who was the Boston Globe Division IV Player of the Year. He led Melrose High School to a D4 state title. He ran for nearly 1,500 yards and 23 touchdowns. Then he was a first-team All-State player at Everett High School. Gets the ball again and gets a first down as he's barreled out of bounds by Bartram on the sideline. Two of the best runs we've seen from Isaac Seed, and a penalty marker comes out late here. Right where the first down yardage was needed. See if this is going to drive New Hampshire back.
Holding. Number 69. 10-yard penalty to spawn the foul. Second down.
It's on the right tackle, Mason Davis, who is a real leader on that UNH offensive line. Worked his way from being a partial scholarship guy up to a full scholarship student. And it's something that Rick Santos says is embraces everything you want to be a New Hampshire man and a player and an offensive lineman. The call for the penalty there.
Yeah, he was trying to set the edge, help out his running back, Isaac Seed, but he had a full grab of the jersey of Josh Fedd.
2nd and 9. From the pistol, Morgan, pocket collapses, throws, and it's complete over on the sideline to Tomlinson. Boy, it just always seems like it's either Tomlinson, Burke, Corcoran. One of them is open near this boundary.
At times, it's just too much to defend all at once if you're Harvard, and they do a really good job as, gets that right foot down with possession, but they do a good job giving safety valve routes, making it easy just in case everything's covered up to have those hitch routes that have been there.
Slips a little bit, 3-yard pickup. Wildcats with their best drive here in the second half, and been able to do it because they've been successful on the ground. I think Harvard had focused so much on the pass that UNH is now countering the Harvard maneuver.
Well, still at the 40, so ways to go, but a massive thing here for UNH. They cannot afford to stall out in the red zone like they have. Too many field goals for the Wildcats.
Morgan going deep, incomplete, great coverage, but a flag comes in. It was Austin J. Guillory. He was marking Joey Corcoran on the sideline, and this is likely to be a Harvard pass interference penalty.
Pass interference. Defense, number 12. 15-yard penalty on that first down.
Yeah, you can see it even from here on the far side of the field. Just has a hold of that jersey. Joey Corcoran, again, we said how this can be too much to defend all at once. UNH does a great job letting the play progress, finding the one-on-one.
Harvard 3 penalties tonight for 40 yards. Crimson in their first 2 games had committed 6 penalties for 50 yards. So nearly matching the penalty yardage. Is hit as he throws, and that is way over the head of Isaac Seed as Morgan was buried to the ground. Pressure coming from Eric Little, the leader of that defense in the linebacking core.
Yeah, I might discuss here intentional grounding, and looks like that's why they're going over to talk to the Harvard sideline. As it's thrown quickly was, yes, in the area of Seed, but
intentional ground, the throw neck was outside the tackle box. Second down.
And the hit might have also affected the trajectory of that throw. Clearly throwing in Seed's direction. 2nd and 10. Morgan whips it left side. Caught. Picked up by Caleb Burke. Close to 8 yards. Burke having another big night. You know, he's a guy, the more reps he gets, the more comfortable he is. And one of the big differences for him is that he's taking care of his body much better. He had a lot of soft tissue injuries in years past. He's come into this year in much better shape, and he's elusive, smart, and productive. Seed, first down run, driving toward the 10, and he will not go down.
yeah, he's not just one-dimensional out of this backfield. Just his ability, quick twitch, switch motion, get off of contact, and just see him pushing 3 Crimson. That's what happens when you squat 600 pounds.
Yeah, you can squat a couple of defensive linemen who are trying to tackle you. Flag pops out.
Side. Defense over 90. Dropping in the neutral, causing the offensive player to move. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Uncharacteristic penalty, Nick Yagadich, senior from Medford, New Jersey. Get a look there. Movement on the right side forced Dylan Maklevich to jump. Wildcats trying to respond to the Harvard touchdown on the previous drive. They set up in the pistol. A throw to the right and incomplete. Tomlinson off his hand. Damian Henderson in the area. Well covered.
You know, Tomlinson, no matter where it is, always looks like he has a shot at it. Has to extend to this. All these receivers we mentioned all have great size, and Tomlinson, tallest of the bunch at 6'3", 212. Trying to float this fade to him one-on-one. Defended well by Damian Henderson. We mentioned how first-year players usually don't play a big role in the Ivy League. Well, Henderson was a big exception last year.
One of the smartest football players that Andy Orrick has come across is Morgan on second down. Shovels it, and it is incomplete. Harvard picked it up thinking a fumble, but Colby Ramshaw didn't hold on to it long enough. And so it's a drop, fortunately for UNH. Otherwise, that's 6 the other way.
Yeah, pretty immediate, too, where Colby Ramshaw coughs this one up. So really no controversy on this one. Broken play, Seth Morgan never had possession of that. He was trying to bring it down. He was hit immediately by Brandon Svets. This is 4-down territory for UNH. Field goal does nothing for him here.
Would only make it a 9-point game, still 2 possessions. Morgan throws, it's caught shy of the goal line by Logan Perez. They can pick up a first down without getting a touchdown. And it is a first down for UNH, so 1st and goal from the 2-yard line. The Wildcats will have 4 cracks at this. At some point, the clock will become a bit more of a factor. But right now, UNH just needs the points. It's Morgan, a keeper around the edge. Won't get there. Harvard sniffed that out, the option play. 2nd and goal.
Yeah, that's about the heaviest we've seen UNH go here this evening. 12 personnel, set 2 tight ends up to the left side. Wanted to set that up for Seth Morgan to try and win a foot race with some blockers. Just wasn't happening.
Harvard does hockey line substitutions with its defensive line, and they just subbed their starting 4 out there. They mark it back at the 3, so a loss of 1. 2nd and goal. Morgan throws right side. It's caught. Tomlinson breaks a tackle and scores. He's shook free from Guillory. And Logan Tomlinson catches his 4th touchdown of the season. And the Wildcats get it back to a 1-score game.
They set 2 receivers up to the right that both ran quick slants to the middle to open up that side of the field.
And it's become a lot more of an even battle. Harvard has led since it scored earlier in the 3rd quarter. And here's a mistake. A kickoff out of bounds is going to set up Harvard with great field position. Wait on the call here from Alex Perella.
Kickoff out of bounds. Kicking team. Ball push the 35-yard line. Touchdown.
Good field position for the Crimson. Let's check in on the sideline with Amanda.
Thanks, Alex. It was obviously quite a grind that last possession. UNH just going yard by yard, and that Harvard defense is exhausted. But the message during that break was, listen, look at the clock. We will likely end this game on defense. Get a drink, get it together, and finish this game strong, guys.
14-play drive, 73 yards. As the Crimson don't go anywhere in the backfield, Malik Frederick dragged down, a loss of 2. And that's the start that UNH wants on this drive, trying to get the ball back to their offense.
Yeah, and on the other side for Harvard, when you hear that message about the defense being gassed, it's now on the offense trying to sustain this drive, get a couple of first downs, chew some clock, give the defense a breather, and try and wind this game down with the ball in your hands, try and get points out of the drive.
And boy, for the Crimson, the fans who watched last week's game against Brown saw Harvard up 28-23 late in the 4th quarter. Didn't end well for Harvard that day. Will it change tonight? Frederick, much better run to the outside. He's got a first down.
It didn't work up the middle. Speed to the outside. Malik Frederick with Exavea Bascon have gotten much larger roles here tonight. That was set up. Good block. Mike Entwistle just setting the edge wide open as he was moved over.
Honorable mention, all Ivy League player. He's taken huge steps in his career. Didn't play much his first 2 seasons. Started 10 games last year. One of 2 returners on the offensive line. Offensive line that is starting to gel. We've seen it improve as this game has gone on. Frederick again runs right into the waiting arms of Flex Ruiz. Jacoby Sherrard there as well.
That big guy once again, both converging. Well, a cornerback and Noah Stansbury in the back setting pressure. But here you go for Harvard. All about controlling the tempo now and no hurry whatsoever. Can get this snap under 4 minutes. Another first down. Then you start forcing UNH into using some timeouts.
Crimson would love to be in a position to walk away with minimum a field goal to get an 8-point lead. Oh, this is going nowhere with DePrima bottled up. Back at the 44-yard line, a loss of 4, and it's 3rd and long. UNH's defense really on 3 of the 4 plays of this drive has done its job very well.
A breakdown on the offensive line of allowing Flex Ruiz there and just good anticipation as well. They've seen this play a bunch. The jet sweep to Charles DePrima. They knew they had to be there on the edge right when DePrima got it. Big man there to meet him in Flex Ruiz.
Big 3rd down, 4th and 13. Blitz coming. Craig under pressure, escapes, dumps it off. This is Gilmartin. He'll be close to the first down. Seamus Gilmartin. He is going to be very close to where he needs to get to.
Right there, Malik Frederick in pass protection once again picks up the blitz, which allows Jaden Craig to extend the play, and it looks like they're marking him short. That is a very interesting spot.
4th and inches.
Ruling on the field that the runner was short of the line to gain. Previous plays in the review.
Now a momentous review to determine, did Gilmartin get there? The Seamus Gilmartin.
First down.
But that extra effort at the end of the play by Seamus Gilmartin allows Harvard to get the first down and burn a little bit more clock.
Oh, twice Malik Frederick. Once on pass protection, twice. First was picking up a blitz. Second is when the play broke down. Then just a foot race. 1 against 4. His momentum just table-topped over the nose of the ball at the 41.5, and he's got it. That's a huge effort and a massive play. So now you're going to start forcing UNH into some timeouts.
The review gave Harvard an extra 2 feet and a first down. So clock continuing to run, and it's in the hands of Exavea Bascon, who is ridden down at the 36-yard line. Pickup of more than 5 yards, and Bascon helping Harvard get a little bit closer to the end of this one. UNH is going to elect to use its timeouts under the 2-minute timeout. The 2-minute timeout in the fourth quarter makes a huge difference as far as end of game.
Yeah, it becomes that 4th timeout, and Harvard's going to let this one roll.
So Harvard will face a 2nd and 5 on the other side. But they are a couple of first downs away from salting this one away. UNH has all 3 of its timeouts, and they'll start using them. They can keep Harvard from picking up the first down. Here's Scott Woods trying to dance through the defenders, and here's a quick timeout taken after the 2-yard gain.
Now this is a spot of the field.
So much time out of the half, UNH.
Right around this 35, and maybe just outside the range of Karen Core, where you feel this could be 4-down territory for the Crimson. Just try and put this one on ice if it stays around this 30, if you trust the first year from this distance.
Another big 3rd down upcoming. Harvard will be back on Friday Night Lights, this time in Ithaca. They'll be playing another Ivy game against the Big Red of Cornell, the undefeated in Ivy League Cornell Big Red, and then back home for their final non-conference game against Holy Cross. That'll be a noon kick, and then they've got Princeton, the start of that end-of-season gauntlet that annually the Crimson have. Princeton, not a lot of expectations, but they always seem to play their best against Harvard.
Slowed down a red-hot Crimson team last year in New Jersey, and you just circle that next Friday game. Feels must win. Last year was an anomaly where you did have a 2-loss Ivy League champion, but Harvard cannot afford to start 0-2.
3rd and 3 from the 34. Harvard needs to get to the 31. Bascon held up just shy of where he needed to reach. Hit right at the 32. They actually need less than a yard.
Time out of the half. UNH. 30 seconds.
Andy Orick happy with the effort. 147, and it will be a decision again for Harvard. Do you kick the long field goal with your freshman, or do you go for it on 4th down?
Now, I lean on the side of you have to go for this. It'd be around a 50-yard field goal. And listen, 4th and inches, you have the ability to get those yardage.
New Hampshire will be back on the road in North Carolina to face the Phoenix, and then back home against URI on the road, and that is one to circle against Villanova on the 26th, the 3:30 game in Southeast Pennsylvania, and the start of their gauntlet as well. The CAA, always a rugged schedule.
Does the gauntlet ever end in the CAA? Every single game, home or away, is a test, and Charles DePrima leads the offense out here on 4th down. Will this be another option look like we saw near the goal line to start this 3rd quarter?
The Crimson are 2 for 3 on 4th down tonight. They need half a yard. Bascon, he's got it. Bascon goes down to preserve the clock and the win. What a heady play for Exavea Bascon, the sophomore from Nahant. He had the touchdown if he wanted it. Instead, Harvard will run out the clock.
Yeah, Flex Ruiz just pinned down by Spencer Doan, the left tackle for the Crimson. Just
set the game clock to 140.
He has had a handful all night. Spencer Doan, the left tackle, against Josiah Silver, and Flex Ruiz. That time wins the one-on-one, completely opens up the gap.
So they're at the 15-yard line. Harvard will let this clock bleed down and then use a timeout of their own. And that is a game-winning run by Exavea Bascon, opened up by that offensive line, which couldn't get anything going early on in this game, but found a way here in this second half.
It'll be 30 seconds.
A timeout will give us a chance to talk about Camo Hat Giveaway, the first 5,000 fans in the stadium on Saturday, October 26th for the Harvard football versus Princeton game will receive a camouflaged Harvard baseball hat similar to the one often worn by former head coach Tim Murphy. Visit gocrimson.com/tickets to lock in your seats today.
So a few weeks away from that, Exavea Bascon and the Crimson, boy, you're going to look at the rushing stats here tonight and say, okay, without Shane McLaughlin, the team averaged Bascon 3.3 yards per carry, rushed for 49 yards to this point, a couple of one-yard touchdown runs, but boy, that ground game got going here in the second half and made a huge difference. And it's going to turn into the Crimson's 8th consecutive win at home, and 8th consecutive win following a loss.
What did we mention at halftime? It was the sustainability of the offense. Harvard was able to score on a couple of big chunk plays.
Final charge, timeout of the half. UNH, 30 seconds.
In that first half, but in the second half, started to move the ball well on the ground, and I think on both sides of the ball. The battle of the trenches, the line of scrimmage, Harvard started to win. Defensively, we know they do those hockey line changes, keep guys fresh. They started to wear down UNH's offensive line, and then how about Harvard in this second half, especially running the ball, like you said, those holes that just weren't there. This was dominated in the first half by the two tackles, Neil Politano and Cameron Garner-Young, but Exavea Bascon, they stuck with it, and Jaden Craig, only 6 completions in the second half, so it's not like he starting to light it up through the air, but just a well-balanced offensive attack in this second.
It was a change from how Harvard operated in the first half, where what they were doing were big plays and not getting a lot of the small and medium stuff. In the second half, seemingly all small and medium stuff. Flag pops out here, and we'll delay the end of this one.
Disconcerting signals. Defense. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
So UNH trying to mimic the snap count, throw off the Harvard offensive line. That's what that penalty is for. One of the more imposing penalty names that we have in the sport. So one more kneel down will do it for the Crimson. And, well, you know, the question was for Harvard, how would they respond to an emotional loss? You hadn't lost to Brown since 2010. You have the game wrapped up. You're a field goal away from essentially putting it into the win column. Disaster strikes on the snap. Brown takes advantage. You get put in a very similar situation this week where UNH scores to cut the gap to 5. You have the ball with about 6 minutes to go and churn up the rest of the clock. You don't give the Wildcats, with their dangerous passing attack, another chance to touch the football.
You said it right there. 5:54 to go. Harvard taking the ball back after the defense was just gassed. And that was a mature drive by Jaden Craig, Malik Frederick, Exavea Bascon, and Harvard able to hold off at the end. An important lesson learned last week.
You don't see a lot of matchups between ranked CAA teams and Ivy teams. Rick Santos said I don't think those Ivy teams get as much credit as they deserve. We'll hear the number 16 team in the country, the New Hampshire Wildcats, came into Hart Stadium for the first time in 85 years, and the Crimson showed their mettle